All right, part 3 rather, lesson 15, level 8. Changing velocity with position. One advantage to using the velocity blocks inside conditionals and if block, remember, is that your sprite keeps moving even after the condition stops being true. So, like what we saw in the last one, when I pressed the space bar, it kept moving even though I wasn't pressing the space bar anymore. So velocity lets us set the speed so that it's going to keep moving. A sprite can keep animating even if the condition's not being met anymore. For example, you only had to press a key once to launch your flybot, and it kept flying forever. The code below uses if statements to make a fish sprite move in different directions. So do this. Look at the if statements that check the sprite's position and set its velocity with your partner, so with someone at your table. Discuss what you think the code will do and write it below. Once you have submitted your answer, run the code. So on my sheet, on the paper that you're going to be given for this, we're going to break down this code. So make sure you break it down on the paper that you're given for part 3 before running the code here. Don't run the code. Try to figure it out first, then write your prediction and run it. So let's break down what's happening in each block here. So on lines 1 through 3, line 1, we're creating a variable named fish, and we're storing a sprite in it. That's from lesson 6. Easy stuff. We take that variable fish and we set the animation to fish R. So fish R, what's that R going to be? Maybe this is a fish facing the right direction. Fish.velocity_x gets 2. So we're setting the speed of the fish before the draw lobe even starts. We're setting the speed to 2. So it's going to automatically move on its own to the right. So I can see already this is going to make a fish, and the fish is going to move to the right. But it gets more complicated. If fish reaches left edge, fish moves right. So if fish.x is less than 0, we set the animation to fish R. Fish velocity x gets 2. That's the same code that I saw up here. Interesting. This is different though. If fish.x is greater than 400, we set the animation to fish L, and fish.velocity_x gets -2. So when fish x is greater than 400, so it's going to be when it gets past the right side of the screen, so we have x gets 400 here. If it's bigger than 400, it looks like we're changing the animation and we're setting the velocity to -2, which will make the fish move the other way. So let's see that happen when we hit run. So here the fish is moving to the right. And it gets here, and then this if statement triggers. Fish.x is greater than 400. This triggers, the animation changes to fish L, and it starts moving to the left. And now when it's less than 0, right, x less than 0, it goes back to fish R and fish velocity x of 2. So think about how this is working. Think about when each of these if statements is being triggered and how it sends the fish back the other direction. One thing that could help is enabling our watch down here. I need to pull my debug console up. So I can watch fish.x. So we can see fish.x is increasing, it's increasing as the fish is moving to the right. Watch what happens when this number gets over 400, right? 400. Right there. See, it got to 400 and now it's going back down because we set the velocity to -2. So now it's getting smaller. And then it gets to 0, watch it get to 0. And what happens when x is less than 0? It changes back to a positive velocity. It changes the animation to be fish R. A lot of complicated stuff going on here. If you don't quite understand all of it, that's okay. It'll start making more sense as we get through these activities. So to give you a brief overview of level 9 here, I got about 30 seconds. This is an assessment, so I'm not going to show you the answer because I'm going to use this to assess whether or not you understand what you need to understand for level lesson 15. But as you saw in the last level, you can change the sprite's velocity. So look at this. So look at the if statements and use sprite velocity x inside each if statement. So inside each of these if statements here, and do all 3 of these things, and you're good to go.